And we are live, all y'all. This is Big T with Mountain Readiness coming at you from the Mountain Readiness homestead here in northwestern North Carolina. We have a great show tonight, and I jump right into it. First off, I want to introduce the co-host of the Mountain Readiness live stream, Mountain Readiness Monday, who's been kind enough to jump on here with us and talk survival and homesteading and preparedness, and that is Joe Teti. Joe Teti,
Wait, man.
good to have you, brother.
Yeah, dude. I tell you what, man, it's so funny. When we first met, I don't click with a lot of people, but when you and I first started talking, I'm like, man, this guy was cut from the same cloth that where I come from. So I kind of knew it was going to lead to a podcast and bigger things. So thanks for having me on, man. Really, really excited. But you got a lot of good stuff going on. You got a lot of good stuff going on, bro.
For sure, for sure. I felt the kindred spirit too, brother. I did.
Yeah.
You can just kind of, for me, within the first 10 minutes, like I know, like if this person is somebody that I can get along with. I don't know about you, but it's like you can just feel it. There's just maybe sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but most of the time, within that first 10 minutes, that first impression, I'm like, yeah, maybe not. It's just, but this was a good thing. This was a good thing. A lot in common, and even just belief systems and how we were raised. I mean, we were raised in separate parts of the world per se, as far as how our upbringing was, but we were both raised not the silver spoon, to say the least.
No, and that's one of the things that I respect about you, man. You come from very humble beginnings, and like myself, and I wouldn't have wanted any other way. I don't do well with people that have been, raised in a bubble and silver spoon in their mouth, and I know that's not you at all. But that definitely, when we started talking and talk about some personal stuff, I was like, wow, we've got an awful lot in common, which kind of blew me away. So, but yeah, man.
Same here. Yes, and what a world, a year ago, we were just starting out, Amber and I, my wife, were just starting out our endeavors with Mountain Readiness. And now here I am hanging out with Joe Teti. What a world. And they said, hey, look, if anybody tells you can't make it in life, man, come on. This is proof. Proof's in the pudding.
And you know what, man? I don't believe in happenstances and just, things happen for the reason. The good Lord puts people together for whatever reason, and I believe that for sure. Because now you and I, and we'll talk about this if you want to. I mean, we got a lot of different things going on right now, and pretty exciting stuff. A lot of good synergy, and that's what it's all about.
Awesome. One thing I want to talk about is that everybody knows you for dual survival. That's a given. And we were talking about this the other day, and it's crazy because I use the example of with Forrest Gump. Like, no matter how many movies I see Tom Hanks in, like Forrest Gump, he's always Forrest Gump to me. Yeah. And so Joe Teti. Joe Teti was dual survival, but the more we talk, the more I realize you have a ton more to what you've done and where you've been and I mean, down to writing books and Ground Branch. And let's talk about life after dual survival for a second, and the other stuff that you've done, because we've got military, we've got Ground Branch with most people don't even know what this is. So give us some insight on just Ground Branch and your background with that special operations unit.
Yeah, so for years I actually kept this secret, and I don't really even know why, because I am not obligated not to talk about it. I obviously just can't talk about places, dates, and missions that we were participating in. But long story short, I was approached by the recruiter for the CIA Special Activities Division, their Special Operations Group, which is commonly known as Ground Branch. And Ground Branch is not a military unit. Obviously, it falls under the Central Intelligence Agency. It's their paramilitary covert action unit that conducts highly sensitive covert action operations where the United States does not want to have a hand in it. So you have a lot of plausible deniability. And that falls under what's called Title 50. And that's given to the CIA specifically to conduct covert actions on the behalf of our government. So anyway, long story short, I got contacted by the recruiter. I went through the process. About 70% of the guys don't even make it past the polygraph. So made it through that, made it through all the psychological requirements and PT stuff, and then finally went to their operators course, which was 6 months long, and graduated. And then I was operational with them in all of my deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq were with Ground Branch. It wasn't with the military, it was with Ground Branch. But very, very humbling experience, to say the least, man. It was like, the way I can explain it to you is kind of like this. Imagine having a basketball team, and every guy there is Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan. Like, that's kind of like how it was.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, it's when it comes down to that whole deal. Now I'm flipping some stuff around here because I have no idea. Wait a second. There we go. That's better. That's better right there. Hey, look, you know what? It's live, right? That's the whole point of lives, is you screw stuff up.
That's right.
I was trying to be way more cooler when it came to doing this stuff, and I thought I had it figured out, and then it didn't work. It didn't work, but moving on. So, but I was actually talking with a friend of mine, Wes, with Gray Zone and Forward Observer, and he was talking about the same thing. He told me, he said, at the same time when you went there and you felt like the small man there on the totem pole, and you're just surrounded by these superstars. Wes and I had a conversation. It was actually in his class the last day, which you attended one of the days of. And he said, you as a person should always look to be the weakest link of the team. And it was weird when he said that. I was like, what kind of ridiculous comment is that? But when I started thinking about it, is putting yourself around people that are better than you in whatever it is that you're striving to become is how you get better.
That's correct. Yeah, and he's absolutely right. I've always said, if I ever was involved in a business or doing something where performance was everything and I was the weak link, we're going to do very well, because it's true. When I got the Ground Branch, there were guys that were so talented. A lot of the guys came from the Tier 1 units, either from Delta or SEAL Team 6. A lot of those guys there, and highly, highly experienced dudes. So when you surround yourself with that kind of talent, you can't help but up your game, dude. It's like you get sucked down this river with these guys. I don't know how to explain it. And now you're in the current, and now you're training at that level, and now you're seeing guys that were at that level like, wow, I thought I was a pretty good shooter right before I got there. And I'm like, I'm really not as good as I thought I was.
Right.
But physically, I mean, I've always maintained myself. I will say this, not to toot my own horn, but I have always maintained myself at a very high level of physical fitness. So as far as that was, I was definitely in the top 10%, but I had no combat experience, and I had a lot to learn. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was actually, to be honest with you, man, it was very intimidating to be around guys like that. Very, very intimidating. Yeah.
Now, can we talk about your age? Is that even allowed?
Oh, Lord. Well, I tell you this: when I was in Ground Branch, I was in my mid 40s, and that was the thing about that unit is almost everybody's either retired or spent a minimum of 10 years. That was a requirement in a soft unit. So it's not a bunch of young guys. Yes. It is a bunch of seasoned special operations dudes that might have spent 20 years, 25 years in a soft unit, whether it's Delta, SEAL Team 6, SF, Ranger Battalion, whatever. So it was a lot of seasoned guys, not a bunch of young, studs, but
Right.
still had to maintain that physical fitness. But yeah, I was in my mid 40s. I'd probably say 45.
Okay.
And yeah, but yeah,
And
but
that's
I'm gonna.
insane. And hanging out with you a couple times now that's something that I respect. I've talked about my father with you, and as well as your fitness level at now, which I will not say the number, but I'm going to tell you, people, like Joe is not the age that he looks. There's no doubt. You maintain that level of fitness. That's next level fitness in my book, man.
Well, I've been blessed, dude. Just I have time now. I make time now for my fitness. Because as we get older, as man, injuries catch up to you. Everything starts catching up to and so I've got to work even harder now to maintain that level of fitness because and I'll be honest with you, man. I'll tell you another reason. I know this is going to not sound so good, but I'm just being honest. I don't want people to see me and go, damn, that guy used to be a Force Recon Marine and a Green Beret and a ground branch operator and look like 200 pounds of chewed bubble gum. It's a personal thing to me. I want to represent the guys that are out there doing it and the guys that used to do it in a good light. So I guess that's another reason too, because I have seen guys, I'm not going to lie to you, not going to mention their names, no need to do that, used to be one of those guys, used to be a Delta guy or a SEAL Team 6 guy or whatever, and they just kind of let themselves go. I still shoot. I shoot in my backyard every day with my airsoft gun, every day. I go to the range twice a week. So I maintain my proficiency because that's what I do, to make money. Obviously, it's train people and other stuff. So, but it's a personal thing, dude. And it's, maybe a little ego there. I'm not going to lie to you about that. Maybe a little ego. I mean, that's okay. But I'm doing it for the right reasons. Do you know what I mean? I want to be a good representation.
It's not. I wouldn't say it was a bad driving factor. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a bad driving factor. I mean, because the proof is in the pudding. Like I said, I mean, you're doing great. You're doing great. You're in tip-top shape, health. That there alone says it all as far as I'm concerned. I am currently on my path of cleaning up from my last job of sitting at a desk. And so it's good to see that those guys that are over the middle age can still maintain such a high level of fitness. So appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, man.
To the audience out there, we've got a few people out there. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. If you have a question for Joe, just throw it in the comments, guys. I'm trying to flag it for the end of the show, and just put we'll just use the catchphrase, "Hey Joe." Start out, "Hey Joe," if you got a question for us. So we'll start plugging those away and answering you guys when we get further into the show. So we went through the ground branch talk, and one of the things we've been collaborating on, guys, is which is going to be super awesome, is everybody knows I switched over to Gahagan Customs as a blade maker, blade designer. And so Joe and myself and Kyle Gahagan of Gahagan Customs have been working for the past month on designing a knife that we will be unveiling at Blade Show Atlanta coming up here in June. And this thing is going to be off the hook. We decided to call it the Ground Branch Tactical Knife. And so now that we went through that right there, this is kind of our 3D rendering for a print design. And I will tell you guys, this is just a piece of plastic, right? But I wanted to give everybody kind of a look at what this thing is. It feels good no matter how you hold this blade, forward, reverse, grip. Gorgeous knife. There's going to be 50 of them. They're going to be numbered at 50. We're not going to number any more. Of course, we'll be selling them for forever and a day as long as people want them. But I'm not even going to spoil how beautiful the collaboration that we went through for just an hour, just the tweaking after we had this basic design, everything ironed out. It's going to be gorgeous. And it's going to be 50 of them. And I doubt they will last just in Atlanta. I think they'll be gone.
It was, I'll tell you, this is another thing, man, that when I came to visit you guys at your location, at your foundry, first off, it was a very, very impressive place. I wasn't expecting what I saw, especially in the mountains where you guys were. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. But again, when you've got three guys with the great backgrounds, and everybody kind of parks their ego, and you take a look at a knife that had a basic design, and then you said, well, why don't we do this? And then it was just the three of us just kind of, and then poof, like in an hour, I was like, wow, look what we just did. And that's what I love about working with guys like that, man. That it's magic.
I mean, yeah, it was just we kept going around the table for an hour, and in an hour, I felt like we accomplished more than most people accomplish it all day long. It was, and I will tell you, this thing is going to be sexy, guys. It is. It will probably. I've got to have one. I'm going to be helping manufacture these blades, but I am going to buy one of them. 001 is Joe's. It's a given. He gets number one in this rendering, but 002, I'm going to buy it for myself. That's mine, and I have to buy it because it's a numbered series, and that's how excited I am about this blade. And we are probably, this will be to the 3 to 350 range for this blade. We're going with, I believe we're going with 80 CRV2, which is a very high quality steel. Yep. Guys, if you don't know about steel, 80 CRV2 is made with a rust inhibitor. It's made to handle abuse, and it holds a very good edge. But the components of this knives, we're going to do some scales and some stuff to the sheath, guys. This thing, I'm not even joking when I say it will be a sight to see, to say the least.
It's very functional, guys. One of the things that when I was talking with T is that I wanted, I thought about it like this: like if I was going to carry an EDC knife either on my kit or on my person, what would it look like? How would it feel? Because a lot of people don't understand the blade is just half the knife. What's more important, actually, to me, what's more important is how it feels in your hand, right? It's got to feel a certain way. If you grab a knife and it pinches in certain places, like matter of fact, when I first designed it, correct me if I'm wrong, the first design actually pinched these two fingers. So we had to redesign the grip, and then boom, that's what happened. Now you got this perfect grip that you can either have a forward grip or a reverse grip, and it just feels like a glove. But yeah, we're working on the sheath right now. We've got some different ideas and different functionality as far as how you carry it, and either on kit or a belt or whatnot. But it's a pure EDC operator type knife that, it's for one thing and one thing only. It's not a survival knife. It's not a knife you're going to take hunting. I mean, you can, but that's not what it's designed for.
But not yet. And so just so everybody knows, this is going to be a series of blades that Gahagan will be doing with Joe. This is going to be the Warrior's Edge series. And what a cool name right out of the gate. Yeah. And of course, the first one will be the Ground Branch Tactical. And then moving forward, we're going to do a survival knife. We're going to do, who knows, maybe we'll do a big chopper or something like that. There's all kinds of stuff they're flipping around. And then to all these fine people over here, I'm going to get you, I'm going to talk to them. I just throw it out there. Look, guys, this thing I believe this is 5-inch, 6-inch. I think it's 6-inch on the blade, with a serration at the top. And the handles will have multiple options. The numbered series is all going to be, one particular thing. And we're probably looking at carbon fiber is what we agreed on, with some crazy color. It's just going to be gorgeous. It's going to be gorgeous, nice. But the production knife itself will be the same thing. You can get the same things. It just won't be numbered, but you can have all the different handle options. You can do micarta, burlap, all the different stuff. We've got a huge selection of all that.
Tell them about Sure Grip. how that's
What's
made.
that? Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
this is really interesting, guys. So listen to this. This is really cool.
so rubberized G10 is what the production run is going to be at this for this, right? We want something of a handle that has that texture to it. So when we make this handle, it will still have those the flint napping look to it, but that rubberized G10, man, it grabs on. And when your hand is wet, or other things that get on a blade, that there is the game changer. That's the difference between your hand slipping off and
Right.
losing the blade, which is bad, or slipping over and slicing your own hand off. So I mean, talk about that. You're a knife fighter. You've done the whole things, Joe. Just get into that.
Yeah, well, first off, like I used when I was on Dual Survival, I designed a knife and it had a micarta handle. Very, very nice knife. But when your hands were wet or sweaty, as you know, depending on how the texture is on the micarta, it can get a little slippery. And I had my knife fly out of my hand a few times. I was tired, hands were slippery or cold. I wasn't quite gripping it. And you don't want that, and especially in a situation where you're actually going to use this knife to defend yourself. Once you lose a knife in a knife fight, you've basically forfeited your life. You're done. You do not want to drop it or lose it. And that's why the way the grip is being designed, it is giving you as much purchase in real estate to get your hand on it. And it's made. What's really crazy is even if you have a smaller hand, it still works. And if you have a bigger hand, and even if you have a pair of like assault gloves on, it still has a great grip to it. So, and that was one of the major things I was telling these guys, like, man, the grip is everything. I don't want to say I had the opportunity, but I had the unfortunate chance to actually use a knife in Afghanistan. And it wasn't by choice. It was just that the situation presented itself, and I had literally no choice. And the crazy thing is, the knife I actually used was a knife my grandfather gave me. If you all remember those old school buck knives with the silver and black handle, with the long blade, with the blood groove in it. He gave me that when I was in like junior high school. And like I carried it on my kit playing Army and stuff. So I brought it with me just to kind of honor him. And I didn't plan on using it in that capacity, but I ended up using it because I wasn't carrying a pistol. And that's a whole nother story. But yeah, if I would have had my pistol, which I didn't, I wouldn't have had to use this knife. And so I have been to a few knife fighting schools. I've been to 3. The first 2 I went to were fluff. It just didn't. It was more like watching somebody doing a kata, and that's not the way a knife fight goes. It was more like sparring, and that's not a knife fight. The third one I went to was an excellent course. It was taught by an Israeli guy. Very, very basic, which I love. Basic movements, no fluff, easy to perform under stress. And that's the way I teach people is basically using his technique. But this knife that we designed, the 3 of us, it's a pure EDC fighting knife. That's what it's designed for. And and that's the way it's going to be made.
100%. And folks, like I said, Blade Atlanta is when this will be released for the 0 to 50. And when I say 0 to 50, I mean starting at 3 to 50 is what will be available at Blade Atlanta. The first 2 are already spoken for. And like you said, the grip on this is amazing. 2 things that when it comes to blades that I look for is how does it feel in my hand? How does it feel reverse? And drawing from a sheath. Because we all know too, as you said, a knife is only as good as how fast you can get to it. Same thing with a pistol. If you got it, you have a $5,000 pistol. If you can't get it out of the junky holster, you don't have anything.
Yeah, you got a $5,000 hammer. That's what you have.
That's it. Attached to your leg that you can't get out. So
and that's a very good point.
So we got people talking about your book, Joe. And
Yes, sir.
right here, I had Matthew King said, hey, about your book, where they can get it. And of course, he's talking about Lone Operator. Why don't you tell us where we can get the thing and what inspired you to write this book? What's it about?
Yeah, so you can go to joeteti.com, and there is a link on there to buy the book. And if you want me to autograph it for you, no problem. Whatever you want. If you like, a lot of people, believe it or not, buy books for other people. I would probably say 80% of the books that people buy, like, hey, Joe, I want to buy this book for my son, autograph it to David, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, just go to joeteti.com. And just go to you'll see buy book at the top and just click on there and it'll just show you how to get it. But yeah, man, the book. Wow, where do I start, man? I was approached by a publishing company to do a book. And I'll be honest with you, when I first thought about it, I'm like, man, I don't want to write a book. I just don't want to. I always kind of like laughed at guys with my background that wrote books, and I'm like, you know what? It's just not something I want to do. And then the gentleman that owns the company, super nice guy, kind of just like talked me into it and mentored me on how to do it. Because look, I'll be first one to tell you guys, you may think it'd be easy to write a book about yourself. It was very difficult. It took me 13 months to write the book, literally 13 months. And it's kind of funny. Here's a little tidbit that a lot of people don't know. Mr. Kohler that owns Kohler Publishing, super great guy. He was like, hey, man, you got to kind of like put yourself in the mood and like listen to some kind of music that takes you back and, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I started listening to like Led Zeppelin and all, and it was just too much, right? It was just too much. So one day, early on, I was still in the first chapter. I was sitting there at my computer like this, and I had my TV remote, and I just clicked the TV on, and I hear, this is your world. If you want to put a tree here, and it was Bob Ross, that dude that paints. And I used to watch that guy as a kid. It was so crazy, dude. It was on a public broadcast system, like PBS channel. And I wrote my entire book listening to Bob Ross paint. I don't know how many of his episodes. I think I watched them all. But anyway, just kind of a funny thing. But yeah, man, it was difficult, T, because there's a lot of personal stuff in my book. I talk about the loss of a very dear friend in a helicopter accident that I was involved in. I talk about growing up. I talk a little bit of this. I talk about leadership. I talk about, how to perform better. I talk about the show. A lot of things that people have asked me over the years that I've been kind of like, none of your business kind of thing. So it was hard, dude. I ain't gonna lie to you. I shed a few tears writing that book.
Yeah, and I actually have tried to do some writing because everyone has a story, right? Everybody has a story.
Sure.
Everybody has something just crazy in their life, and and Russ was actually you gonna have books at Mountain Readiness with you?
Yes, sir. I think we have about 40 that I'll be bringing.
Awesome.
But yes, I will. Sweet. I will have them there. Yes, sir. I will.
Great. Well, I tried to write. I spent about 3 hours just staring at a blank piece of paper. And it's tough to write about yourself. I mean, when you analyze yourself, you're thinking about how do I express myself on paper? Mine was like, it started out, I think it was just BS because I'm trying to write something. I'm like, in a quaint little town in Missouri, St. Louis, it was just crap. The whole thing was just horrible. And because I was born in St. Louis, there's nothing quaint about that place. It's a war zone, but it is. I can see how it would be tough just sit there and try to put yourself and your life on paper.
And here to add a little more level of difficulty, as a published author, so you can either self-publish and you can make your book that thick, or you can be a published author like I was. Mr. Kohler's company, brought me on. So I had to abide by his rules and regulations when it came to the book. So I don't remember exactly, but if I'm not mistaken, I was only allowed, I think it was 5,000 words per chapter, right? That's it. So as you're typing, you're looking down at the word count and you're like, oh my God, I'm at 8,000 words. It's too much.
Now what?
Right. So you can't, you have to be able to compress stories and events like very, it's so difficult, dude. It's so, because you want to
don't
tell
know if
people
it's
everything.
possible for me.
Yeah, man.
I know it's possible. I'm thinking I'm probably going to be self-published at that point, because to try to compress some of the stupidity that has happened in my life, I don't even know where to begin to compress that into a smaller section.
And Mr. Kohler was, I can't speak highly enough about this guy because he took the time to groom me and mentor me. Because I told him, like, look, dude, I like got C's and D's in English. Like, bear with me here, right? So he's like, Joe, don't try to write the whole book in one sitting. Write a paragraph. Stop. Write another paragraph. Stop. And then here's another thing that'll happen, dude. And he told me about this. It was going to happen. You'll get brain lock, where you're writing about something and you keep using the same word over and over and over and over and over. And when you look back at it, you're like, oh my God, that doesn't make any sense. And that's when you got to stop, turn your computer off, and take a day or two off, and then pick it back up. And he gave me a lot of good advice about that, man, because it was very challenging. I can tell you right now, bro, it took me 13 months to write a book that
13
thick.
months.
Yes, sir.
That is crazy. Sir. I've got, and then Corey Simon's over here commenting, and even my father, he was actually born in East St. Louis, Illinois, right across the river there. So you got St. Louis, the Twin Cities there, St. Louis, East St. Louis, Illinois, right across the Mississippi right there. But we had a couple other, I'll just throw up here, people that were commenting on some stuff. You got a lot of fans out there, Joe. A lot of fans. Corey on Dalton's Kukri. Yes, I was, for all you that keep up with my ridiculousness on Facebook, I was down in Blairsville, Georgia last week, hanging out with Alan Kay. Of course, everybody knows who Alan Kay is, and he was nice enough to actually give me the Kukri that he carried in Africa. Was one of the places. And I will tell you, man, this thing has done some work. And this is a 3/8 inch thick blade. I mean, it's a monster. That's a monster right there. And I'm not even kidding you. Alan can sharpen a knife. This thing, you can split hairs off of this massive blade. I bet you can shave with that. Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt. I actually have shaved some hair off my arm with it. Man. I just did it right now, you know.
That's beautiful. Hey, T, hold the handle up to that. Let me see what the handle looks like on that thing.
So what he does is he wraps that in sticky. He wraps it in athletic sticky tape.
Oh, wow. See, that's great. What a great grip. Because that's a heavy knife.
Oh, yeah. No, this thing, like, look here, y'all. Wow. The spine on this thing is tapered off, and it's 3/8 inch thick all the way down.
Dude, you ain't breaking that knife, brother.
No, this thing is a beast. This thing is a beast, to say the least. But, yeah, big thanks to Alan for handing me that. That was just awesome. And everybody knows I am a knife enthusiast. And there's another knife here, you know, I got from a special somebody that I'm currently talking there. Thanks for that one as well, Joe. That's for another podcast. But as far as the Kukri, and remember too, guys, there's somebody else that's going to be at Blade. Speaking of knives again, and Chris Weatherman and Alan Kay will both be at Blade with us because we are producing the Dalton. And those will be pre-orders, though, guys. They'll be pre-orders, but they will be there at the booth. We're going to have Joe there for the first part of the day, and we're going to have Alan and Chris for the second part of the day. And you guys can come by the booth, hang out with us, hang out with them, get autographs, pictures, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be awesome time. And I will tell you, the Dalton, we did some design work on that blade as well. And the stuff we're doing to that is we just keep hitting them out of the ballpark. That's what I'm going to say. These knives are going to be awesome. So they will have a limited. I think theirs are only going to be 25. I think is what they're going to do for the numbered section of that. But that will be at Blade, and Blade is the first Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of June. For all you guys that were wondering about that. What does that come out to on dates? I'm not sure. April, May, June. So you're looking at the 7th, 8th, and 9th is Blade Atlanta. So put it on your calendars, guys. There's going to be all kinds of awesome people there, mainly us at booth 533. You can come out and hang out with us.
If you've never been to the Blade show, oh Lord have mercy. If you like knives, whoa.
And Blade Atlanta is the biggest and the baddest of the best.
Yep.
You can't. I made the mistake. Exactly. I made the mistake. The first Blade I ever went to was Blade Atlanta, and now the rest doesn't matter. You know, like none of them, bar none, can compete with Blade Atlanta.
If you can't find the right knife, the right knife there, it ain't made.
Actually, you can, and you can find that knife at booth 533.
There you go.
So booth 533 is where the perfect knives exist, right there with us right there. So here's something else, guys. So Joe and I have not just been collaborating on blades and talking about life and books and knives and all this kind of craziness. We are looking at hosting an event, and this event is going to be based on homestead preparedness. And when I say preparedness, I mean tactical. So we're talking about putting together something that is just off the hook, a 3-day event that is home defense tactical based. You're better at this. This is your forte, Joe. So the homesteader side, I've got a little bit, but give us kind of a sneak peek of what we're talking about.
So again, this was synergy between T and I talking, because at first I told him about my Wetsy course that I run through Spartan Americana. It's a 3-day course, and I run it at a place that actually T came and did a recon with me. What about 2-3 weeks ago? We came here and it's absolutely. I knew when you saw it, you were gonna be like, wow, this place
insane,
is perfect for this. Beautiful 1,000-acre property. I don't want to talk too much about it, but when we started talking about, homesteading and individuals that are involved in homesteading, and I have friends that are homesteaders, the thing that concerned me is that these individuals need to have a good balance of being self-reliant, okay? And that takes into several disciplines, okay? For example, what is the use of having this beautiful homestead? You've invested time and money and sweat equity, and then all of a sudden, the worst case scenario happens, and somebody takes it from you when the crap actually hits the fan, right? A family has got to be able to protect themselves, protect their assets from hostile intentions, okay? And this encompasses several unique skill sets and techniques and tactics. And what I would tell you is this event will round out a individual. And when I say individual too, guys, I'm talking about a family, right? Your family, right? This will round your skills out, that now you've got this homestead, this beautiful homestead. You've done all this work to, you're totally self-reliant. And if the worst case scenario happens, you can protect it. Because let me tell you something. I've seen it with my own eyes. If things go bad, look, we live in a rogue and feral world, guys. It is not getting better, okay? And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just telling you the facts. What do you think is going to happen if things really unravel? People's mentality is going to be this. T, you've got 2 of those. I want one of them. You don't need two of them. And that's what's going to happen. People that are not prepared are going to come after people that are prepared. And if you don't understand how to protect yourself and your family, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to become a victim. Plain and simple.
That's it.
You just
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. There's this concept that we live in this this perfect world here in the United States of America, that third world country shit can never happen here in the good old US of A.
really.
And I'm gonna tell you that homesteading, I say this 100 times, is 100 times over. If you are homesteading and you cannot protect your homestead, you are potentially growing food for someone else. The end. There is people whose plan is to only go and take what others have because they don't feel they need to prepare for anything. They'll just take what you prepared for. And I'll tell you, look, it's yes, home court advantage, running from your home. If you know how to defend your homestead, you do have the advantage. If you do not, a bunch of guys show up to take your stuff. You don't know how to protect yourself. You may see yourself and your family in a bad situation, guys. So that is why we have been talking about putting an event together like this. And it isn't just based on how to shoot. It's about how to clear your own home. You hear a bump in the night. I had a homesteader. We posted something about a women's AR class, and a bunch of homesteaders just shoot us up about, well, what does a gun have to do with a homestead? What does a firearm have to do with the homestead? People, in this world, craziness happens more often than not. And you're telling me that a burglary, a breaking and entering, a B&E, that doesn't happen when people are at home? No, this could happen right now. I wake up in the middle of the night, bump in the night, out there in the living room, I walk in and there's somebody standing there. Okay. Being able to, we also caught a bunch of crap about one-man CQB. That's dangerous. Look, what are you doing in your home if somebody's in your home? You're doing one-man CQB, right? Or maybe you're teaming up with your spouse and you're doing husband-wife CQB, which is something else that we're going to be delving into at this event in the future. But tell us about your WETC training too, Joe. What can people get from that?
Yeah. And again, my WETC course, it stands for the Warrior's Edge Training Course, starts on a Friday, ends on a Sunday. And it's just a plethora of information. And it literally talks about leadership and land navigation and one-man CQB and two-man CQB and the fundamentals of shooting. And it goes on and on and on. I actually have a manual that's 158 pages long that you actually get at the course. I talk about mental imagery and autogenic conditioning and proprioception and all the RAS, the reticular activating system, and the ODA loop and the color code of awareness. It goes on and on and on. Guys, listen to me. One thing I learned when I was in Ground Branch is you don't know what you don't know. Okay. And I thought when I got there, I knew a lot. And let me tell you something. I wish I knew half of what I really knew. So the way I look at this is, look, God forbid if something bad really happened. But if it did, this is like the cheapest insurance policy you can buy. Like, now you've got the knowledge and the skills and the tactics to protect your family, protect your property, protect your assets. And just like T was telling you, you're basically growing food and having a shelter for somebody else. So just take it from you. Literally.
That's it.
What you gonna do? Just give it to them on a silver platter? No, there's no way I'm doing that. No.
No, and there's something to be said for it. There's I know Alan Kay. He's got a great saying. He said 3 days to animal. All right.
That's right.
Take food. Go without food for 3 days. Tell your little kids, I don't have. Sorry, little Johnny. Sorry, little Becky. You don't have nothing to eat for the third day in a row. You will see some drastic things done by people when it's driven by hunger.
That's right. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I have seen this, guys. I have seen it in other countries. I actually saw two women in Haiti when I deployed to Haiti. They were fighting over a mango, and one woman took out a machete and swung at the other woman and split her hand down to here over a mango. Right? A mango, guys. Okay, we're all human beings. Just because they live in Haiti doesn't mean that Americans won't act like that. They will, right? As a matter of fact, I do have a WETC course coming up in August. It's August 2, 3, and 4, if I'm not mistaken. Where's my? It's August 2, 3, and 4. Yep. Yeah. Yep. There it is, right there. And you just go to SpartanAmericana.com, and I'm going to tell you right now, we only take 10 students. That's it. Because I want an intimate class where everybody gets a chance to ask questions, everybody that's specific to their situation. And if you got 20 people in a class, you can't do that. It just takes too much time. So anyway, but yeah, guys, I've seen it, and it's a scary thing. And I fear for a lot of people that do homestead. And even if you're not a homesteader, you're just a concerned citizen. I got my home here. I got my family. What happens if somebody, comes into my house at night and, the worst case scenario happens? What do I do? How do I light up my home? Where should I have, solar lighting? Simple stuff that will make your house what I call a hard target. Because if the world goes bad, people will be looking for targets of opportunity. And if your house looks like a soft target, that's where they're going.
Getting hit. We got a few. Let's throw some comments up here. We got Rick here. He's saying loan operator would be a good name for a knife. So maybe we can incorporate that later. We'll see what's happened. Rick, if we use that name, we'll give you a free knife. Maybe. Just kidding. No, you got to buy it.
It's so funny because T and I have been kicking around names back and forth. And we're just trying to find the right, the right name that,
catch, the right hook. So, Matt, now, Mr. Matt King, he was asking, you doing classes at Mountain Readiness. So, guys, Joe come in towards the end after we had like 40 instructors. And so here's what's going on. So Joe is going to be there hanging with Brian with Survival Gear BSO. He's going to have books. And, of course, he will be roaming, taking classes, hanging out with you guys. Feel free to come by, chat him up, ask questions, all do those things. And we're gonna shoot for this event coming up. We're looking at in the future, and then that's where we're really going to get our feet wet with the training with Joe. So nothing at Mountain Readiness thus far, just because we just got completely. We had to turn some really good. I hated to turn some of the instructors down. It was just insane how many awesome people came up and was like, man, we want to teach with you guys. So, of course, Rick has asked about the site. Rick, we got you covered now, Spartan Americana. Make sure to check him out. Just go and remember, guys, you can subscribe to Spartan Americana as well as Mountain Readiness. So subscriber list, we're going to start using the subscriber list for Mountain Readiness, and I'm sure Joe's going to be doing a lot of the same stuff to do giveaways and for special announcements, blade designs, stuff that we're going to be coming out with that's only going to be to the subscribers to our list. Now, I was supposed to give away a class tonight, but I couldn't figure out how to use the magic spinny wheel, which I believe the word is import my subscriber list so I don't have to manually put in hundreds of names. It will happen next week, guys, okay? I've almost got it nailed down, but I'm just not the IT guy. I'm not going to lie to you. Next week, we're going to give away a class for tracking. You have to be a subscriber to Mountain Readiness. You have to have a ticket for Mountain Readiness Expo in May, and you can't be an instructor or vendor. Those are the rules that we have to abide by. But it will be picked from the subscriber list. Not only next week, next Monday, we're going to give away a tracking class with Charlie Williams, Pineland Resources, and Sue LaRue from Tactical Rifleman. We are going to give away a spot at Troy's Gate, which we are super excited for a day. And not only are we going to give away a Troy's Gate spot for a day free of charge on mountain readiness in Troy's Gate. We're going to have Randy Martin, the founder of Troy's Gate, on the podcast right here with me and Joe to talk about that next level of training, because that's what it's about, guys. And just like Joe was saying with this training, yes, you got to spend money. Look, nothing's free in this world, but here's what you got to think about. Where do you want to iron out those deficiencies, right? Where do you want to iron those deficiencies out? Do you want to iron them out when it's live fire, when it's the real deal? Or do you want to iron those deficiencies out when it's training? I guarantee you training is the key here. You don't want to iron out that deficiency when you've got that adrenaline pumping and something bad has actually happened. Going back to your training, right, Joe?
Yeah, man. And one thing, guys that are listening, and I would caution you, we all watch YouTube videos. I watch YouTube videos. I like to see what people are putting out. I would caution you on what I call like YouTube commandos. These are people that are what I would call hobbyists. They're not real world practitioners. And what I mean by that is the person that's teaching you this subject matter, have they actually done it for real in a real environment? The answer needs to be yes. Because there is a tremendous intrinsic value training with somebody that has real world experience. Like if you came to me and said, hey, Joe, help me fix my house. Don't even think about it. I'll probably fall off your roof with a saw. That's not me. But when it comes to the stuff that I know, yes, I have done it for real. I did it for real in a very harsh environment. So I think it's important for people to understand, if you are going to learn techniques and hard skills that are going to benefit you and your family to protect yourself, learn it. And I'm not saying learn it from me, guys. Seek out those guys with really good backgrounds. And there's a lot of good guys out there. There's plenty. And there's a lot of guys out there that teach a lot of crap, quite frankly, get you killed. So keep that in mind and don't look at it as, well, T just said, yeah, it costs money. But at the end of the day, that's an investment. You just made an investment in your family, in yourself, skills that are extremely difficult to find. I can tell you right now, I tell those people to come to my WETC course. If you come to my WETC course, I'll tell you day one, if you don't leave here with at least a dozen gold nuggets in your tactical toolbox, I'll give your money back. I've never had one person take up on it.
Hey, look. What does it come down to is think of it this way, guys. What is your life worth? What's your family's life worth? What's your children's life worth? Can you put a price on that? I can't. Now, and here's the thing is when we look at these classes, yeah, there's a lot that goes into these classes. Tons. How many years? Once again, we're going back to your age and stuff right there. Don't tell us your age, Joe, but how many years have you been in the tactical realm?
Right. Going on 30.
30 years, guys. Take 30 years of your life.
Yeah, that's military government.
30 years of your life.
Teaching. Yeah.
Take 30 years of your life and put a price tag on what that's worth, because this is 30 years of his life. So Megan here was asking about where is this going to be at. Megan is going to be in North Carolina, good ONC, within 2 hours area, of what we're doing right now with Statesville. So close to where we're already at. It's just a different style facility where we can get a little bit more in depth on the tactical stuff. So definitely worth the drive. I can tell you that. And we will start. We're working a few more clubs out.
Megan, can you tell
where are you from, Megan? I believe Megan is from. I think she's from Ohio. I wanted to say, if I remember correctly. But here's one from Matt again. I'll let you handle this one, Joe. It's to you. What would the first thing to improve on my property for making it safer?
Lighting.
Period.
Lighting. My home, I have solar lighting, which is so cheap to buy, it's not even funny. But I have solar lighting 360 degrees around my property. That is statistically is the number one deterrent to keep people with bad intentions coming on your property. Nobody wants to be standing in a spotlight. Nobody. The second thing would be signage. Signage. This property is protected by surveillance cameras. Even if you don't have surveillance cameras, I'd still put a sign out. And guys, and guys, I'm here to tell you, you can buy, you can go online right now because I just bought it, a 6-camera wireless surveillance kit for about $480 that you can put on your, like, guys, you're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars. But to answer your question, lighting, signage, period.
Done. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me for sure. And Matthew, I don't know why you'd want to be in my book if I actually wrote one. What kind of train wreck that would be, but you're definitely in that book because Matt and I have worked together for a long time. We've got going on 9 years of train wreck, crashing and burning life. So yes, you will definitely be in my book, brother, for sure. Mountain Readiness, guys, is coming up in just a couple more weeks. And I can't believe it's just that. And now all of a sudden my screen will not let me take stuff down for some reason. There we go. Hide it. So we're like 2 weeks out, guys. If you're looking to get some tickets because this is going to be a ridiculous event. For your admission ticket, think about what you're getting. You're getting hands-on classes. Almost 80% of the classes are hands-on. We got processing chickens. We got hog processing. We've got awesome vendors. We've got Joe. We've got kids classes. So all day long, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we've got kid classes. We've roped off an area for them. They're going to be learning how to do ropes and knots and rigging, walking sticks. They've got games, different, you name it. We got stuff for the kids. We've got tactical riflemen's going to be there. They'll be giving classes throughout all 3 days. Joe's going to be there with the books. This thing is star-studded, and it's going to be off the hook, crazy awesome. It's going to be a great time. So make sure to get over there, get your tickets, and come see us. We're about at the end of this. We've got about 3 minutes left before the hour is out, and it's blown by. Joe, how do you want to run us out of this thing?
Oh Lord, you know what? Just here's kind of how I look at this stuff. Not only can you learn a lot of good things in these types of events, but you're around like-minded people. You know what I mean? You're around good-hearted, patriotic Americans. Like, that's very refreshing to me, to be around people. It's like hitting a reset button. You know what I mean? For me,
Yes.
I just like being around that good energy. And that's tough to find today. I'm just telling you, I get it when I go to the gym, but to be around a group of people that all have the same beliefs and all looking in the same direction, and being around those people for 3 days, that's a great thing, man. That's a great thing.
That's a win. Yeah, that's a win for me. Same way. And as I hate to say it, is I and many like me, I'm sure, get into that rut to where we want to close the world off and we want to just hole up in our compound, our house, never leave. And I get it. The world is kind of a sad place right now. But at the same time, there's something to be said of going out and coinciding with other human beings. We were meant to do that. And when we close ourselves off from the world and we just huddle up here by ourselves, we are not growing. Because growth requires us to go out there and fellowship and learn from one another. That interaction, that learning, that's super important, in my opinion, to growth. And you can't get that growth by yourself with the shutters and everything, battening down the hatches and locking yourself away from the world, right?
That's a fact, man. And it's good networking too. You're going to meet new friends. You never know who you're going to meet in an event like this. So I just, it's kind of like a no-brainer, like, to me,
Definitely. Well, guys, that is it for this number 2 live stream to the Deuce, Deva. I don't know. That's all. That Russian. That was where I ended it. I don't want to end it with Russian. Ni is 2, Japanese, right? Ichi, ni, san, shi. That's it. So the second live mountain readiness, we're going to be doing this forever and a day, or until we get shadow banned and kicked off the internet. We'll see whichever one comes first. Until next time, guys, remember, pray for the best, prepare for the worst. We'll be here next time with Randy Martin with Troy's Gate. We'll see you then. Take care.